welcome back into the one and only AM show. Got my main man, Freddie B here, you guys. And at the top of the show, we did tease an incredible guest. Guess what, you guys? Our guest is in the studio with us today. So wherever you are, our friends, family, brothers and sisters, I want you to show your love to my good friend. We actually went to high school, it's in the same high school. My good friend who is now a real estate agent. AM family, show your love for Mr. Walter Greene.
Morning.
Yeah. We went to the same high school, Valley Stream Central High School.
Valley Stream Central.
That's what it's Valley Stream.
What is that?
Central High. That's the name of the high school.
Yeah.
Valley Stream.
That's not in Far Rock though.
No, sir.
Okay.
It's in. He got this Far Rockaway thing going with me. Walter, I done told this boy that this man that I grew up in Far Rockaway, he won't let it go. He will not let it go.
No, Walt, how she told me. She was like, nah, I'm from Far Rock.
I didn't say it to you like
right.
that. I'm a girly girl. Walter, I'm a girly girl who's no nonsense. So he's just dragging it. I said, no. He said, are you from Far Rockaway? I said, I'm from Far Rock. He said, Far Rockaway. I said, no, just Far Rock. And he was like, oh, so now he thinks I'm like part of the mafia. Now he thinks I'm like, he thinks I'm like a thug. Okay, whatever. I am not. But you guys, we have my good friend here, Mr. Walter Greene, who's a real estate, just extraordinaire. We are super stoked that you decided to join the AM family. Thank you so much. So how you feeling? How you feeling, Walter?
Feeling great, feeling blessed, can't complain.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so let's just dive right into the meat of it. Go ahead, Freddie B.
Before we get into real estate, I want to ask you this. You know, you knew Pop. You know, you got your boy on there, your highlights and stuff.
Yeah.
Just talk about becoming a new Pop. You know, because you've been doing real estate for a long time. We definitely gonna get into that. But talk about how your life has changed. You know, you got your lady, and now you got this baby,
Two
this
children.
young boy.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
it's really a beautiful feeling, and it's kind of like that cliche that you always hear, like, you know, once the baby comes, like, you feel like everything has changed, and it's like every decision I make now is always predicated with their best interest first, and then mine after, which is very odd for me. You know, I was always very, put myself and make my happiness, but now ever since that's come, my hierarchy has dropped down and the kids is right at the top.
I love that. And you're so right. Children do have because they're demanding.
Oh,
they're beautiful gifts. They're demanding. He said, oh yeah. No, they're beautiful gifts, but Walter, they're demanding. So it's like I have to be careful about every decision that I make, like you said, because every decision that I make, this is a domino effect now in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of credit, in terms of where we're going to live, in terms of how much money I want to make. So I applaud you for being just a great partner to your lady, your beautiful lady, and to your two boys. I saw your cute boys on your Instagram. Very, very cute.
Oh, I appreciate it. Sometimes it's a little tough when they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and they want to play, but you get aggravated, then they give you a little smile and you're like, all right, I can't be mad at this, I can't be mad at this,
Yeah, I get that. Okay, so I know, Walter, we did go to the same high school. I graduated in 2011. What was your year?
2007.
2007. Okay, so 7 and 11, we both went to the same high school, and we actually reunited during career day.
Yes.
During career, that was a really, really fun day where we just got to see so many people that graduated in my year, before me, after me, etc. And so many people, Freddie, were doing so many different things. This one is a mother. This one is a lawyer. Oh, she opened up her own restaurant. Just incredible things. So I was super impressed to learn that you've been in real estate now, Walter, for over 10 years, 11 years to be exact. With that being said, I'm curious, what made you dip into real estate? How did you know that was your passion?
It's very funny, and I'll make a very long story short. So I was doing a whole bunch of jobs at once. I was valet parking cars. I was a personal trainer. I was cutting hair. I was an unlicensed taxi. Did I say that? I was always been a hustler. I've been the kind of guy that would take
Sounds Jamaican.
Yeah, I got the Caribbean roots, but I was the kind of guy that would take the candy and go to Costco, get it, and come back to school and try to sell it.
Wow.
That's always been me.
Okay.
So, I was working as a receptionist at the same time.
Okay.
And the non-for-profit I was working at closed down. The whole office met at Nautica Mile. It started to rain. Everybody left. The only person who was there was me and another receptionist. We ended up kidding it off, and we ended up dating. She ended up being twice my age. Now, the ironic thing of it all is, fast forwarding to hanging out at her house, I'm looking around like, this is a pretty big house. This house is like, like 4,000 square feet. It had the butler stairs on one side and you come down the other stairs. And I said, look, not for nothing. I'm a receptionist.
Yeah.
You're a receptionist. How you get this big house?
Right.
And she looked at me for what it felt like an eternity and just said, you need to do real estate.
Yeah.
And I said, real estate? She goes, you have all these little hustles, you do this, you do that, you make all this little money here. Just put it together into something that's gonna make you some real money. She's like, my ex-husband and I had a mortgage company together and I think you'd be great at real estate.
Wow.
And I couldn't go to sleep that night.
Yeah.
I just woke up the next morning, applied for the tests, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That is Chris.
That's a
you had
story.
a little cougar, little sugar mama. She put you on. She sound like.
She definitely put me on. She is so dope. I tell her to this day,
That's
I owe you a
nice.
whole bunch of commission
That's
checks
nice.
because, I didn't know what direction I was going into. I had got into Old Westbury to go for business.
Oh, so
And-
did my goddaughter. Love that.
And then, this happened at the same time, and I had to take that leap of faith. And, with a Caribbean mother, she's like, you need to go to college.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I could do this. I think this is my calling. And,
Yeah.
I went with it, and thank God it all worked out.
Wow, that's incredible. Wait, so it all worked out. You took that leap of faith 11 years later. So I've been thinking about like doing real estate on the side. I've been talking to my Aunt Dot, hey Aunt Dot, about it because she's into real estate. Walter, she's like you, like 3 or 4 side hustles and they all bringing a whole lot of money. That's Aunt Dot. That's why dinner is always on her. That's why it's always on her.
Aunt Dottie.
But with that being said, like what are the procedures? Like what are the steps that you need to take in order to really flourish in the real estate industry? I know you got to get your license. I know you have to do that, but what else? What does that incorporate?
Well, I mean, the biggest steps into being a real estate agent is not being a secret agent. So many people get their license and they don't want to tell people. They don't want to make a real estate social media. They don't want to post on Instagram. They don't want to make videos of themselves. When I first, if you go back when I started my Instagram over 10 years ago, my first videos, I used to always stand up like this and I always used to talk like this. And I say, Walter, I'm not like you. I'm not gonna be 6'3". It's not gonna happen. My voice is not deep. And I said, I just gotta be myself.
Yeah.
I practiced in front of the mirror and it all worked out. But the biggest challenges that a lot of people find in real estate is that they just don't have the consistency to put into it and they don't have the time to put into it because 75% of new agents who join in the first 2 years fall out the business.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Why? Because of that lack of consistency?
Because of the lack of consistency and the money factor, because of the other hard part is the money management skills. Because if I put a house into contract today, meaning that the buyer and the seller have both signed a contract to buy the house, that buyer is probably not going to close for 60, 90 days.
Okay.
So you could sell a house today, but you're not going to get paid until November.
Got it.
So
okay.
you have to have money management skills. So a lot of times it's good to have another hustle when you first start your real estate business to keep the money coming in.
Ooh, got it. Okay.
I want to ask you this also, speaking to that point, because I have a friend, he's built like a team in Nashville. He's a realtor or whatever like that. And what I've seen is a lot of people, I think, like, would you say it helps to join a team to kind of have that encapsulation around you in the business to ease you into the business? Because when you first hop in, you got to sell houses. So you got to get the word out to what you said. People got to know that you're a realtor and then got to have a level of trust in your realtor because you're buying a home. Home is your first investment for a lot of people. It's a big investment. So like, what is that approach getting into the game and actually like getting past that 2-year mark, which we know a lot of people don't make it to?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think joining a team in the very beginning is pretty vital because, you want to learn from somebody who's really in the business, doing all the nooks and crannies. Myself, I was very hard-headed. I didn't want to join a team. I said, I'm going to figure it all out by myself. I'm a big hard-headed Capricorn. And then, I lost deals over very simple things. As, for example, if somebody doesn't want to increase their offer $10,000, they can say that's too much money. I can't do $10,000. But an easier way to say that is this house worth $56 a month to you? Because every $10,000 over 30 years is $56 a month. So, that's usually when one of the spouses looks at the other and says, So you're gonna lose this house over $56? You know, and a lot of times some people need that little bit of a push, and it's saying, you know, hey, look, cut back on the Starbucks for a couple months. You'll make up that $56. But joining a team in the beginning is very important, and I highly recommend that.
Wow. Okay. So I'm getting my steps. License. You can make an Instagram page to get that visibility. And
Must make it.
you must. Okay. You must make an Instagram page to increase that visibility. You got to get your license. That's 2. Joining a team. That's smart. That's 3. And then you go on your first day of work. What was your first day at work like? Paint us the picture. I know it was 11 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
What was that like, Walter?
My first day at work was treacherous because nobody wanted to do business with me.
Oh no.
I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
I had no facial hair. You know, and I said to myself, I have to grow a beard, because the first time I walked into somebody's house to sell it, I knocked on the door, they opened it. I said, how you doing? I'm Walter. They said, you're Walter? They said, how old are you? I said, oh man, that didn't go too good. The guy was just like, he went through the motions. He said, okay, I'll call you. So I said, all right. That's when I said, I'm going to take my business a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
I grew my beard out. I joined the team.
Yeah.
I started to invest in my business, investing in coaching, investing in courses.
Coaching,
and
got it.
advertisements. And then the business would slowly start to come in to the point where I was able to relieve all my other hustles and just do real estate full time.
Got it. Okay. And that's such a vital point, because Walter, people think that presentation doesn't matter. Sadly, like, it does.
Oh, yeah.
No, it really does. Like, people see you before they hear you. So the presentation, the cleanliness, like the facial hair, your hair done, a clean manicure, they look at all of that stuff. They judge you based on that. Looks and aesthetics will always matter. I know folks think it's shallow, but it will always matter when you're pitching something, when you're selling something. So with that being said, is that the easiest part of real estate, the approach? What's the easiest part of becoming a real estate agent?
Well, I think it depends on what section of real estate you want to get involved into, because there's commercial real estate, which is like office buildings, warehouses, mixed-use buildings, where you have residential units on top, and you'll have commercial on the bottom. That's more predicated towards numbers, and you're speaking to your clients about pro formas and what makes sense, what doesn't business-wise. There's residential real estate, which is more personal for people as far as what works for their family, what doesn't work for them. That's my lane. That's my niche right there. I like to connect with different people and, kind of start that book with people and, here's the introduction, here's what we need. Then we start to look at houses, get into the plot, into the body of everything, and then conclude at that closing table. And then it's also the other avenue, which is the investor side of real estate, which is buying and selling and wholesaling and, fix and flipping, or you want to buy and hold for a long time. So, but for me personally, my bread and butter is the residential part.
Ooh, I love that. Really good.
And I'm glad you mentioned all the 3 elements of real estate, because like what we're kind of seeing, and I want to get your thoughts on this, what we're seeing in like different cities, like in Atlanta, you have Atlantic Station, you have Hudson Yards, you have all these like work here, play here, all in one. Like they also have Ponce City Market in Atlanta, where people like live right above shops and all that type of stuff. Where like Ponce City Market, for example, you could take the elevator from like you on the 9th floor, go down to the 2nd floor, you walk right into like a food court and a Lululemon and all that type of stuff. And so I think what I'm seeing is like, it seems like people are trying to take like a little bit of New York and then create their own thing where everything happens there. Is that what you're seeing in the market? Like these things happen, or are you seeing still a momentum with just traditional housing?
I think I'm actually seeing both. Now, in areas that are highly populated, that's all that you're seeing. You're going to see that all-in-one there, and it's going to have the gym, it's going to have a pool, you're going to have your doorman, you're going to have the retail stops, you might have a supermarket there. That's definitely the trend. But then there's a huge portion of people, usually when they have kids or multiple kids, they'll move out to the suburb part. So both markets are really flourishing, but it's always the 3 L's: location, location, location. When it comes to real estate, all day, every day, no problem.
Yeah. No, and with that location, speaking of that, what do you find, Walter, is the number one reason that people decide to withdraw, decide to pull out? Like they start doing business with you and then they all of a sudden change their mind. Like, you know what? I don't really want to live in Queens anymore, or I'm not going to sign the paperwork, or I don't want a house, I want a condo. Like, I'm just asking, what is the common denominator that really prohibits people from going forward when they are purchasing a new home?
Oh, it's usually the money.
The money.
It's usually the money.
Yeah.
You know, money talks. Look, you know, it's so expensive to buy a home.
Yeah.
You know, and you save up a tremendous amount of money for maybe a tremendous amount of time to say, you know what, do I really want to pay, you know, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month for a mortgage when I could just pay, you know, $2,500, $3,000 for rent? So that's usually the biggest denominator of what I see people get a little nervous, which is fine because, you know, people get nervous, you know, we keep in contact and, you know, we could ultimately, you know, circle back to it when, you know, their funds are right.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that really depends on like the demographic. Like if they're younger and the spouses, both husband and wife, they're working and maybe they don't have any children, maybe they'll opt into rent. But maybe if they're older, if they're retired, now they want to retire in a house and have a softer, easier life. Do you find that to be true?
Oh, yeah. And, you know, and then going back to what you were saying, you know, a lot of the younger people, they're the ones who are buying into the metropolitan areas, buying into these nice condos with that connect.
So.
And then you're seeing a lot of like older retirees. They're the ones who are buying more into the suburbs, more into like having a ranch with a little bit of steps, easier on the knees. So that's like the common trend.
Yeah, it's true. It's like I've worked for 40 years and now I want everything. Now I want to live comfortably. Now, the people who are retired, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So true.
You're based in, so you're registered in New York?
Yeah, so I'm based in Nassau County and Queens. So I do a lot of Nassau, a lot of Queens. I do Brooklyn as well. I do a little bit of the Bronx, but Nassau and Queens, bread and butter.
So, and the reason why I asked that is because, you know, you got realtors, and so like that, like if you're not in that world, like you always wonder, like I know, at least I do always wonder, like, okay, like, can you go anywhere, or how is that? Are there laws preventing you going different places, or is it where you choose, or is it where you kind of see like what you said? I'm selling, I'm banking, I'm making money. There's no need for me to go to Jersey or anything like that. Like how does that work? Like where you're stationed?
So if you're licensed in a place like New York, you have reciprocity where you're allowed to have your license here, then go get your license somewhere else, and you don't have to do the whole testing process. You could do a very minimal testing process. Myself personally, it doesn't really benefit my business to be traveling to Jersey or down to Florida. There are realtors who do that, who are dual licensed. Maybe they're snowbirds. Maybe they live in Florida half the year.
You said Florida, that's what I'm thinking about.
So a lot of realtors in New York and in Florida, they're licensed in both because people constantly travel to both. Myself personally, just doesn't work out for me, but that's what a lot of real estate agents do.
Is that something you think that in your future going forward, like do you see like where your license changing and evolving, or you feel like what you can see now is?
I love New York. I love the hustle. I love the bustle. I mean, eventually, am I going to leave New York? I think so. I think after a certain point, I might say, you know what, I just kind of want 80 degrees and a nice breeze every single day.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm over the hustle and bustle, so I get it.
But that's going back to that third part of real estate, which I was talking about, which is the investing side. You know, while I'm in real estate, it'd be remiss of me, it'd be negligent of me to not be investing into real estate in the same time, so that when it is time to say, you know what, I want to take a step back, I can have passive income coming in to kind of ease everything that's going on. So good. I'm like learning so much. I feel like I'm in a class. I love it. I'm taking notes, Walter. You guys, we're going to head over to a quick commercial break, but don't you go anywhere, because after these messages, we're going to chat it up just a little bit more with our guy, Mr. Walter Greene. Stay tuned, everybody. There he is.
Guys, welcome back to the AM show. We have as y'all saw, our very special guest, Walt Greene, talking his real estate. And before we went to the break, I kind of threw like a little alley-oop to slide into the investment part, because the reason why I want to do that, because, you know, with real estate, so many people talk about real estate, buying, flipping houses, like it's just simple. Like it's a guaranteed check.
Right.
And nothing in this world is absolute except for death and taxes. You're going to die, you're going to pay taxes. So with that being said, there's a lot of people who lose their behinds in real estate. And so that's what I wanted to get into. And the first thing I wanted to get into is, I hear a lot about multifamily housing. Like that's the thing, you hop into, whether you hop into it by yourself, you get a group together to buy into a multifamily housing, and even to the one guy he did the Black Wall Street Fund where he had people buying pieces like almost like of a stock of multifamily housing. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. Talk a little bit about that multifamily housing and investing in that. Like how realistic is that to make money?
Multifamily housing to me is always the way to go. You have to, okay, I don't say you have to, but in my head, you have to do some kind of multifamily housing. And the reason why I say that is because when you purchase a house, the American dream, people say it's dead. I saw a survey the other day say the American dream is dead, it's too expensive. The American dream is not dead, it's just altered a little bit. So if you buy a multifamily house, and that house, let's say the mortgage is $5,000. It's a lot of money. You could maybe rent an apartment for $2,500. But let's say it has 2 units, and let's say it has a basement. If you rent out the top floor for, let's say, $3,000, and then you live on the first floor, your mortgage is now really $2,000. Right. So now you're paying a little bit less than what you would be paying for rent. Now, let's say, off the record, if you rented out your basement as well.
Yeah.
Now your mortgage a month is probably $500, nothing. Or if you really want to max it out and you say, I'm living in the basement and my mortgage is $5,000, I'm going to put somebody in the first floor for $3,000, second floor for $3,000, you're getting paid $1,000 a month to live in your own house.
Yeah.
And that way right there, if you're still saving money, like you're still paying that $2,000 a month, at the same time you're getting paid $1,000 a month to live in your own house, at the end of the year, that's $24,000 that you've gotten in that rental income. That right there, you're instantly putting that back again for your next house. Now, if you move out of that house, then rent out that unit you were just in, move into another 2-family house, and then you're living on one floor, whichever floor it is, and rent out the other 2. In essence, you're not going to be paying for any of your living expenses for the next 2, 3, 4 years. After that, you might say, I want the American dream now. Now I want the big 3,500 square foot white picket fence, pool in the backyard, kids running around. But at that point, your other 2 houses are paying for this house. So to me, that's the real American dream now, financial leverage, because everything is so expensive with inflation.
It is.
I walk in supermarkets $100 every time. So I think financial leverage is the new American dream, in my opinion.
Ooh, financial leverage. Okay, and that just enabled me to think about buying and flipping. I know we mentioned that before the break. Can you talk about that a little bit? I know I have a next door neighbor. I was just talking about him early in the show, Richie, and he's into real estate, and he's been doing real estate for about 40 years. When I tell you Richie has a movie theater in his house, and we all live in the same cul-de-sac. He's the first house, we're the house up on the little hill. So we always talk about our industries, what we're doing at work, and he's always chatting about what house he bought and how he's flipping it, and he shows me where they are. It's just really, really cool. What are your thoughts on that process? Because that sounds passionate, but I think it's really, really hard and long.
Oh yeah, so the big thing that a lot of people make the mistake in when it comes to fixing and flipping homes is that they buy the house at the wrong price. You make your money in real estate when you buy your house, not when you sell it. Because if you buy it at the right price, you can take the appreciation and sell it at the right price. You could keep the house and then you can refinance it at the right price. So a lot of people get desperate and just say, look, I'll buy the house. I can make it work. But then, when you open up these walls, it's like HGTV, but it's not like HGTV. It's like HGTV that when you open up these walls, something's gonna go wrong. The electrical is shot, there's a leak, there's an infestation of something going on.
Yeah.
You have to always budget for the incidentals. And then at the same time, you're always going to have prices increases. Like right now, lumber is way higher than it used to be. You're gonna have people with buyers who back out of houses again because maybe they can't afford it. Maybe you've been under contract with them for 2 months and now they can't afford it. So you have to buy it at the right price so that your carrying costs while you're holding it is still affordable. Now, the beautiful thing is, I fixed and flipped a couple of houses before. It's not really my niche. I prefer now to just sell it to an investor because it's a lot of work. And it takes away from my other businesses, what I have going on. But it's very profitable if you're able to buy a house at the right price. You could definitely make a lot of money.
Okay, so you buy the house at a lower price than what they're trying to sell it to you for when you're trying to buy and flip a house. So say they're trying to sell it for So you're trying to buy it. Say the original price is $400,000, and you buy the house maybe at $100,000. Where do you get that other money to fix it up?
Oh, so there's always going to be, unless you just have those kind of deep pockets.
Right.
Now, the other thing is there's always a hard money loan, which in that you could borrow cash at a high interest rate in order to buy a house cash, and then they'll also give you money to rehab the house, and then at the end you have to pay that all back at the closing.
Right.
You know, the interest rates for those could be, 11, 12%. It's
high.
interest only, no principal. So you could be paying, on a house that's maybe like $400,000. With today's interest rate, maybe you're paying $4,500, $5,000 a month in just interest. But you're going to get $400,000 in cash to buy a house and then rehab it.
Right.
The other options is to, as what Freddie said before, is have some friends. You all pool some money together.
Yeah.
You split the pot up, but you don't have all these exorbitant fees, and you're able to buy a house and then to put your money together and rehab it and then sell it.
Interesting.
So when we talk about rehabbing a house, like when you get a house and you rehab it, there's always focal points to really increase the value of your house.
Yes.
Yes. So I want to get into that. I've heard things, but I want to let you hop in there. Like, what are the key places where you want to focus your money to rehab a house?
Kitchens, bathrooms, kitchens.
Yep.
That's the main thing right there.
Yep.
Kitchens and bathrooms, what every buyer likes. That's what people see when they walk into your house.
Yeah.
Let me see the kitchen. And everybody's gonna go to your bathroom. So kitchens and bathrooms is the main thing. Then after that, you obviously want to have the essentials of the house: the plumbing, the heating, the roof, the electric, the foundation. Those are the core issues of a house. Anytime you have a repair for one of those, it's usually in the thousands. So as long as those are in working order, the cosmetic sides, is kitchens and bathrooms are going to bring the most amount of value to your house.
So, and so to piggyback off that, what are some things that people put money into, and it's probably more sexy, but it won't benefit you in the long run? Like kitchens and bathrooms, it's very beneficial, but some things that people put money into to rehab, and it's like, that return ain't really there like that.
Like a man cave.
Well, look, sometimes you gotta have the man cave, you gotta have the woman cave, because sometimes people need their space. But that's another story for another day. But I would say things that people put money into that necessarily don't bring it the tremendous amount of value is people put very, very high-end light fixtures. Chandeliers.
We have a chandelier.
Yeah. Chandeliers are great, but it's great for you. The next person might say,
"We have a huge chandelier.
I don't like it."
Okay.
Sometimes people will, you'll have hardwood floors which look great, and then people will rip them up and then put brand new hardwood floors. But it's not going to tremendously increase the value because you already had hardwood floors.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
So things of that nature. Then also a lot of times people go over the top of exterior of their property. Putting up really fancy fences.
Got it.
Whether the house has a tremendously fancy fence or the chain link fence, people are going to live inside the house. So a lot of times people spend money on stuff like that, but they don't necessarily get the return back on the investment on that.
I see. Okay. And I know that you focus on really selling in Queens and in Long Island.
Yes.
I'm curious, how are those markets similar or different?
Oh, wow. So, a house in Queens that's $800,000 and the taxes are $5,000 a year is the same mortgage as a house in Long Island that's $650,000, but the taxes are $15,000. It's the same mortgage.
Really?
It's the same exact mortgage. Now, the biggest difference between the markets is right now, Suffolk County, Long Island is on fire. The houses there are selling way over asking price.
Okay.
First-time home buyer market is no longer in the 4s. It's in the very high 5s and always goes into the 6s. In Nassau County, it's not as hot, but it's still hot. The first-time home buyer houses, a lot of them are in the mid 6s to 7s. And Queens, if a house is overpriced in Queens, nobody shows up.
Yeah.
But you put that house down to where it's supposed to be, you'll get 1 million offers right away.
Wow.
And every homeowner says, I don't want to give my house away. All right, but nobody shows up. But when you price your house right, everybody shows up in Queens.
Got it. So Suffolk County, the most expensive.
Right now, I would say, Queens has the highest prices.
Okay.
Because the property taxes are low, so the prices are always higher. But Suffolk County has the hottest market right now.
Got it.
Those houses that you put it up on a Friday, you better go see it over the weekend because by Monday it's sold.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this, to your point. people having the price too high. I've read that you that's like almost like a death nail. Like if you have your house at like 600 and you gotta reduce it, like, and people see like it's reduced, that it hurts the selling as opposed to if you just priced it right to begin with.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, there's 3 ways to price a house. There is, you overprice it and say, you know what, you gotta hope that whoever wants to buy this house, their mother lives next door and they want to move next to their mother and they want to overpay for the house. That method's usually going to stay in the market for quite some time. Then you list it at the market value, which the house will sell in a relatively short amount of time. And then the other play is to list the house under market value. So let's say a house is worth $600,000, you price it at $575. Everybody knows through the technology that's out there today that this house not worth $575. I'm going to bid over the asking price, and you'll ultimately get over market value. Now, when you put your house really high and then you have to reduce it, it's just human nature to say, what's wrong with the house? Why they had to drop it like that? Let me lowball offer them. So a lot of times, your first offer that you get is your best offer, because you usually get people who have been on the market, they've been looking for a long time, they've been outbidded, your house comes onto the market, everybody gets the alert on whatever real estate app they're looking at, and then they go see your house right away and they make a competitive offer. And a lot of times, you know, if your house is overpriced, you'll miss that window.
And speaking of windows and time frames, after doing this for a decade, Walter, can you remember a time where you sold a house in the smallest amount of time?
Wow, yes. I had a family. Actually, I had a family. I had it a couple times, probably 3 times in the last 11, 12 years, where I've had a family and I showed them one house and they bought the house.
Wow.
And
like in the same week?
Like in the same day.
Wow. Okay.
Like we met, like, how you doing? My name is Walter. Here's the house. Walter, I want to put in an offer. They get the accepted offer. We do the home inspection. They sign the contracts, and that was it.
Got it.
So, but twice that's happened that I can instantly remember off the top of my head, which was in the last 2 years, both of them. Both people knew what house they wanted.
Yeah.
When they met me.
Yeah.
And they were just like, I really want this house here. We'll go to the house, we'll negotiate a good price, negotiate after the repairs, and then make it happen. So that's an anomaly. I mean, I've done over 500 transactions. It's only happened 3 times.
Wow.
You're talking about less than 1%.
Yeah.
But you know, most people on average are going to want to see somewhere between 10 to 15 houses, and sometimes you go somebody over 30, 40 houses, but on average about 15 houses.
And they still may not purchase after that.
Oh, they still may not.
They still may not purchase after that. So speaking of like really catering to your audiences, your demographic, right? What is the first step that folks need to take when they're looking for a home? Do they need to contact a realtor? Do they need to go on the website? Like what's the first few tips that you can give them, Walter? Because some people don't know. It's like, do I contact you or do I go on apartments.com? Like where do I go?
So the first step when you want to purchase a house is always get in contact with the real estate agent that you feel comfortable with, the real estate agent that you want to work with. That real estate agent will usually have preferred lenders that they can refer you to. If you already have your own bank, that's fine, but you want to get in contact with a real estate agent just to make sure that what you're looking for is realistic and it can happen for you.
Got it.
Once you speak to the real estate agent and you speak to the bank is going to issue a pre-approval. That pre-approval is the foundation upon your house search.
Got it.
So now when a buyer gives me their pre-approval, I know what they approved for price-wise, taxes-wise, and total mortgage-wise. So now I could then set up houses that fit exactly what's in their criteria. So you don't waste time, I don't waste time. You don't see a house that you get attracted to, and then we can find that house hopefully in your time frame.
Oh, I love that. That's so true. Yeah.
You meet and show, like you said, 500 transactions. That's 500 just transactions. I'm pretty sure you met with plenty of other people who there were no transactions. So we talking about with, several hundreds of people that you've met with. So Walt, I know you got like a funny story, a wild story of people you met with to show them a house. Some wild stuff happened and you were looking at yourself like, what is happening? Or maybe you questioned why you even got into the game. I need one of those stories, Walt.
Yeah, paint that 12 years. Come on, you have to have a moment.
Give me the story. I mean, we can withhold names, but give me the story.
We probably are going to have to, withhold names. There's actually a lot of them that pop into my head. This is a worldwide television network, so I have to think about the appropriate one to say. But one that sticks out to me is that I had a time where I was showing a house.
Okay.
And I was given instructions to have a lockbox for a house, which is you have to, put the combination and take the key. They said nobody would be home. And we're walking around the house, and then the homeowner was home. I don't know if that was his wife or not, but
in action.
He was in
action.
It was live in action, and
wow,
live in action, and
could you imagine?
And you're there showing somebody the house.
Yeah, he's showing the house.
Now the house has a lockbox, so you just assume it's vacant. They said it would be vacant. We're in the house. We're going around, and it's like that. The Isley Brother. And then I heard a squeaky sound. Something's going on upstairs.
Oh no!
And I'm like, maybe it's the AC. I don't know, but when we walked upstairs, that dump, it was pretty evident what was going on. The guy opened the door. It was like, oh, and then he said, I apologize. I forgot that I had an appointment, and they got dressed and they left, and we were able to finish the show. They didn't buy the house though. They didn't buy the house, but that's one that always sticks out.
Oh my, could you imagine? I would have went home and said, y'all know you have your lady and your 2 children. I would have been like, come on guys, guess what happened? I would have went home.
I'm pretty sure you probably called a homeboy.
I would have been like, Mom.
Oh yeah, I mean this.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
This was back before the kids. I think this is definitely pre-pandemic. And,
I was gonna say pre-COVID.
And I definitely called my friends. We were definitely
I would have
having
too.
a good time though.
Whoa, could you imagine? That's something that you see on movies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is hilarious. Well, I mean, you've just been quite incredible. Like, I just feel like I've learned so much. I know that, we really have. We've learned so much about the market, about investing, flipping houses and buying them, what markets to look into, interest rates, just all of the above. I just felt like I had a real estate course with you being on the show this morning. But so before we let you go, Walt, you have to tell all of our folks and viewers where they can find you on social media by giving them your handle.
You can find me on social media on Instagram at Mr. Real Estate. At Mr. Real Estate on Instagram. I respond to all DMs. I respond to text messages. If I don't get back to you now, I will get back to you later. I promise you that.
Yeah, he really will, because I DM'd him and he got back to me as well. We're going to chat it up after we go to a quick commercial break too, because you got to help your girl out. Certainly. All right, my AM family, let's give it up for Mr. Walt Greene.
Everybody clap.
Thank you so much, my brother, for being on the show today. Yes. You guys, we're going to head on over to a quick commercial break. Don't you go anywhere, because we have a little bit more of the AM show when we return. Stay tuned.